Man, it's wild to me that I woke up in Alabama and it's 22 degrees, which is what appears to be at least 40 degrees colder than it is in Wyoming. Go south, they said. It'll be warm, they said. I've been transmuting a lot recently on the concept of projection in psychology, which is where we take our internal landscape and put it out onto another person. And most commonly, I think that we associate that with negative qualities of if a person is a liar, they will project that out onto other people and think that other people are also lying. If someone is manipulative, they will project that out onto other people thinking that other people are manipulative. If someone navigates their life by strategy, they will then project that out and assume that other people are also acting out of strategy. But what I've been sitting with more over the last several days is how projection can also work the opposite way, where if you are an honest person, you will assign that to other people being honest. If you are a person who navigates by integrity and upholding compassion and consideration, loyalty, truth, transparency for the people that you care about, you can project that out also, assuming that the people that you care about will also treat you with those similar qualities. And that can be a really scary situation to do that, because either ends of the spectrum of that projection is chocked full of illusion, not rooted in reality, when ignoring what's right in front of you. And the death of illusions and accepting reality as it is, not as we think it is a death of naivete. And it's not to be conflated with being nihilistic, but stripping the illusion of fantasy and projection allows us to see the reality that sometimes we don't want to face, whether that's that we are seeing potential in people because we're projecting what we would do in a situation, or if we're ignoring the reality that someone else is not being deceitful, but we're making those assumptions because of our own woundedness. It's really hard to discern the stories that we tell ourselves based on upbringing, culture, religion, trauma. family structures. It's a lot to sift and sort through to get to the reality and the truth of a situation. But it's necessary. It's simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. But we all have things that have imprinted us, both positive and negative. And once those things start happening on repeat, at some point we have to ask ourselves, am I the common denominator in this situation? Looping and looping and looping, which is a spiritual concept known as samsara. It's where we just keep looping and repeating the same thing over and over and over because we want to push that out onto everything outside of us being the reason for these things happening, rather than looking inwardly and recognizing that we're the common denominator. And until we learn that lesson, it'll keep looping. I think I've been a bit Pollyanna in my life. Because on the inside, I'm Pollyanna. It's been hard for me to recognize and acknowledge the truth that just because I love someone and I want them to be honest, and kind, and considerate, cooperative, transparent, loving, because that's what I do for the people that I love, that doesn't mean that's who they are, and I'm just projecting that onto them. And ignoring that truth, that reality, means that I'm causing my own suffering, and I'm self-abandoning for a someday that may never come. I've also been projected on in the opposite, being accused that I'm manipulative and controlling and lying and cheating and all sorts of things that I did not do. That's also not the truth of the situation. We've all probably been on both sides of that, because we have to be on both sides to learn in that dualistic way, in the yin and the yang, until we come to that inner place of understanding that anything we do to harm another harms ourselves. And until we can love another as we love ourselves, which begins by loving ourselves and not continuing to harm ourselves and cause suffering, just keeps looping, 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 looping. And that process has to start by examining the stories that we tell ourselves. And that usually is easy to spot if it's a story, if we're using sweeping generalizations. Like, we're all keenly aware of misandry, which is a concept of women hating all men, and that's not healthy. And I find it curious that there's not a term for that of men hating women, because that exists also. To say all men do this, or all women do this, or all white people do this, or all black people do this, you know, those are stories. Where do those stories come from? Are they programmed in by culture, family, religion, school, education? It's the same thing, school. You know, where where do those come from? Do we have those beliefs because we've had experiences that reinforce that? Well, where did we first experience that? Was that with a mother? Was that with a father? And then we have reenacted these same patterns with other people, partners, friendships, etc., because it feels comfortable, even though it's not healthy. We have to start deconstructing where these ideas we have come from, and why we create these stories. Because our stories are not reality. We project what we think is happening versus slowing down, taking a breath, rooting in, not letting our anxiety and our reaction get the best of us. Tuesday musing.